What's up, everybody? Got a relatively balmy 41-degree day here in central PA. Taking a ride to Hershey. Pick up the girls. Pick them up from school. Thought we'd have a little chat about current events. So someone sent me a link of this latest experiment that the Toothless Wonder has been putting together down there in Georgia. And I'm not much into this whatever the hell it is, but where they distort the face and, the over big eyes, and I guess it distorts his mouth enough where you can't see that he has no teeth. So he's gone with this whole new thing now, which is it's fairly ridiculous, but still as absurd and distorted the image is. It's still better than looking at his real face, which is obviously meth-riddled from abuse of drugs and other vices over the years. And that's just my opinion on the matter. You can go check out his self-posted pictorials for yourself. But really, the interesting issue here is the entire content today seemed to be Ann Vandersteel calling her little toothless attack dog. By the way, if you're going to have an attack dog, you want to make sure that it has teeth. And so Ann is like throwing this poor bastard who's too dumb to know anything about the realm of Florida politics, never mind anything corollary to the Trump 2020 campaign. So this moron decides, okay, Ann told me I've got to take on Karen Giorno. So Karen Giorno, who's Karen Giorno? Karen Giorno was pretty much in charge of the state of Florida for the bulk of the election. Now, 2016, I'm referring to the bulk of the election for the Trump campaign. And the personal issues that we had at the top were just like kind of rumors and things of intrigue to all of us at the state level. But Karen Giorno, being from Florida, was one of the higher profile personalities involved in all this. So if you were in Pennsylvania, if you were in Ohio, if you were in Virginia, hell, if you were even in Colorado, you knew who Karen Giorno was. So we had the transition from Corey Lewandowski over to Manafort, which came with some changes as far as Rick Gates and others getting involved, and they weren't all for the best. And those personality issues kind of took root in a lot of states. We had state changes for various reasons. A couple of them I'm not going to get into. Georgia, but Brandon's an incredible kid, and Brandon did a phenomenal job. Karen has ran into some issues with some of the transition going over from Lewandowski to Manafort into Bannon, and then after that, the third phase of the election, then it's when things got hot. Things moved over. They decided, don't get me wrong, Karen has a very strong personality. If she disagrees with you, she will tell you about every other word in a sentence. I know, I've been there with her, but she's also a boss. Like, you don't really F around with a boss unless you're another boss. And so Trump knows who Karen Giorno is personally. This isn't one of those POTUS moments that Dilly has. Karen and Trump have known each other personally for a couple of years prior to all this stuff going on, and she had his cell phone and he called her many times, and they decided that the best way to move forward was, because there were Rubio issues, the state GOP at that time had their own ideas and they were undercutting everything to do with the Trump campaign. I saw it up here. We had to change our GOP leadership up here after the election, which we did, and they have just with 2 years late, but they changed the leadership structure and who's in charge down in Florida. So you have to understand the Florida politics scene before you start ripping on Karen Giorno, because you thought you had Karen Giorno when she was down, but I got bad news for you. She's not down anymore. So you might see Karen Giorno's name in the mainstream media right now is because she's in WAPO. And the WAPO article a Washington Post article on this woman. I won't even dignify it by giving her name. A former director of some of our outreach efforts in the state of Alabama. She was a liberal from California who decided to take up for the cause of Trump. And now she is claiming in a lawsuit that Trump kissed her without her consent, which is kind of ridiculous because we're talking about something that was witnessed by at least a dozen people. And she decided to name two of the highest profile people in the room, which were Pam Bondi and Karen Giorno, both of whom have pretty much emphatically denied to the Washington Post that this thing ever occurred. She's actually claiming that Trump leaned in with the intention to kiss her on the lips, and she turned her head at the last second, and his mouth caught the corner of her mouth. My Lord, what therapy you must have to go through in your life to have the most powerful man in the world brush up against the side of your mouth. I don't know if I'd ever be able to get out of the shower in fetal position if that happened to me. Oh, my Lord, that poor woman. Anyway, so you're going to hear about Karen Giorno's name through there. Karen Giorno, of course, at the time, was on the road after Trump basically promoted her to putting her on the bus with Lara Trump and Diamond and Silk and going around to all up and down the East Coast and in some other southern states. So she's basically traveling the countryside for the campaign at that point. So Karen Giorno is basically legit. I mean, me vouching for Karen is like, I don't know, it's like the busboy telling you what happened in the shooting of Robert Kennedy. I mean, I'm just a guy in a kitchen. I can tell you she was a major player in it. And she will likely, the way things are trending right now, Karen Giorno is going to be back on top in some capacity in the Florida re-election effort for Donald Trump. So calling Karen Giorno something other than MAGA, which this toothless moron attempted to do, and before he deletes his scope, he should know that it's all been downloaded and sent to the people that need to see it. We don't blame some meth head from Georgia, whoever that meth head might be. We don't blame any meth heads for getting their marching orders from Ann Vandersteel, because we know that Ann is basically half the brain behind this thing. And I say half the brain because there's no full brain to be had in any of this. These people are just historically stupid. They make tactical errors everywhere. They cannot see the lay of the land. They don't understand anything about the political power structure. And they are fighting the wrong battle, which is bad for them, but good for everybody else, because we finally get to clean out this dumpster fire. It's, you know, when you have a dumpster fire, you have two choices. You can try to put it out, or you can just let the thing burn out. And we have let this dumpster fire rage for too long. So we got to try to put this dumpster fire of humanity out, who are just talking ridiculous nonsense about who's who. They don't know anything about it. Let me tell you, Ann Vandersteel had zero to do with anything related to Trump. Nothing. You will find nothing. No volunteer. Nothing going into 2016. She is a non-entity. She is a non-person. She's ridiculous. She's something that we would normally not even bother to joke about. She elevated herself in the world of chicanery through Bill Mitchell, who, again, I'm not going to go on and on and on and on and on about this, but Bill Mitchell, by not disassociating himself from Ann Vandersteel, has to suffer the consequences of all this stuff. And if you're waiting to see what's next, I mean, what can you ask me seriously, Adam? What can they do? Trump re-election campaign has literally disassociated itself by name from Ann Vandersteel, which is insane because Ann is, like I said, a non-person, a non-entity, a scam artist. But to get them to articulate the fact that they have nothing to do with her, disassociate from Ann Vandersteel specifically, is incredible. I've been doing presidential campaigns, oh boy, since 2004. I've never seen it. I've never seen anybody go out of their way to swat at a little insect like this from the very top of the tower. It shows you how dangerous she is as a conspiracy theorist, as somebody who still espouses the ridiculous Pizzagate shit, right down to the original Pizzagate, which is Comet Pizza has like a sex dungeon somewhere and is connected by tunnels in D.C. She still perpetuates rumors like that, and she has graduated to military tribunals, stomping all over the Constitution, martial law, shutting down the federal court system, all the shit that Q brings up. She has run with that, which is basically Russian propaganda to get everyday boomer Americans doubting their own democracy. It's fucking brilliant what Q has managed to do. If Q is a Russian disinformation agent, I would say it looks like Putin got the job done on that one. And that's the kind of nonsense that this person is. She has nothing to do with the campaign. She's running around with some woman named Annie Marie Delgado, who literally is friends with Vandersteel because geographically they happen to be proximal in Florida. And second, this is the good part. Second, Annie Marie Delgado came and just ran this fake West Palm for Trump group and was selling tickets to events as if she was representing the Trump campaign. It got to the point where she was basically stealing money under the Trump name. Trump campaign had to send her a cease and desist letter. So you got Annie Marie Delgado and Ann Vandersteel are the two people in this freaking country, specifically in the state of Florida, that have literally been disassociated by the Trump campaign. That's some hardcore shit right there. It's really hard to get the behemoth of a presidential campaign to send you a cease and desist letter, in the case that they did Annie Marie Delgado, and to publicly disassociate you with 3 high-level sources from the Trump 2020 election, as they did in the case of Vandersteel. This is monumental stuff. Really hard to get that type of disassociation game going. So, who is Karen Giorno? Karen Giorno is somebody that busted her ass in 2016. And because of certain circumstances and who was in power in Florida and who was backstabbing who, which if you really want a lesson on it, you can talk to Corey Lewandowski about who was effing over who and who didn't get what they should have got after Trump got into office. If you really want to talk about the people that were screwed over, pull Corey Lewandowski over for a quick aside. If you're at an event where he's at, he will tell you unabashedly. He is not shy about it. Corey knows these stories. Karen Giorno didn't get what she deserved for the work that she had been doing. And she's getting it now. She's back on top. They're attacking her because Ann Vandersteel is pissed off that Giorno has informed the correct people in Florida as to what's going on with these scam artists, because they came out and attacked her. They attacked her over a false article about her being associated with people that weren't MAGA, paid endorsements, all kinds of lies. Now look what's happened. She's back on top. Talk to the new Florida GOP about Karen Giorno. See if it says the old, same thing as the old GOP. You're going to hear a different story. Beyond that, now she is defending the honor of President Donald Trump in the Washington Post, saying that this event never happened. She and Pam Bondi are heroes for standing up to the truth. The liberal rags want evidence that Trump is somehow simultaneously a racist, but yet kissing a black woman. Again, it's one of these magic dual insanity moments where they just can't have it both ways, but they try it anyway. She is a hero. She is going to get the recognition she deserves now. And they are attacking her for being in the Washington Post article, even though she's only in there for the same reason Pam Bondi's in there. They're not attacking Pam Bondi. They're attacking Karen Giorno for defending the honor of the president. Somehow trying to attach her in a loose association game to this woman's claim, even though she's directly refuting it. Guess who reads these articles? Donald J. Trump. Guess who knows who Karen Giorno is personally and still has her cell phone number, and if he wanted to call it for some other reason, could do it? Donald J. Trump. So they're messing with the wrong person. Let them do it. Let them do it. Karen Giorno, friend of mine. Proud to say she's a friend of mine. Proud that she is defending the honor of this president. And I am also proud that we share the same feeble, feckless enemies. And I will do whatever it takes to get the truth out on this matter. Karen Giorno has been targeted by the Rick Wilson, Rubio, Rick Scott factions in Florida politics because she spoke out so strongly for Trump that they couldn't stand it and they wanted her out of the way. Bad news for everybody involved is Karen Giorno's on the way back up. If she was ever down, it was due to circumstances not to her control. She's on her way back up. She is on her way back up. So suck it. Haters can suck it. And Ann Vandersteel and Annie Marie Delgado, you have been singled out by a presidential campaign. They don't want you. They've asked you to stop using their name. They don't want anything to do with you. And you will never hear that about Karen Giorno. Matter of fact, don't be surprised if you get major validation from certain channels on the high up for how great of an asset she is and how she will be utilized for 2020. So stay tuned for that. So, Zero Tooth, keep going at it, buddy. When you got a shovel in your hand, you have two choices. You can either put it down and stop digging or just keep digging until finally it caves in and you bury yourself. And that's exactly what you're doing. I'll talk to you all later.